Welcome, Deepika.
Thank
so
you.
good to have you with us.
Thank you.
Joining me are the lovely Padukon series. On star mothers and star daughters. Padukon ladies, welcome Ujjwala ma'am. Hello and welcome to special. Relationships are supposed to be complex with a lot of stop. I just wanted to know because mother-daughter tiffs and fights and growing up and all of. And how was it for you? Did you learn anything from your lovely mom?
I've learned a lot from
That. So, in hindsight, was it easy for you?
I think especially, in fact, just yesterday her. And I was telling her that I don't think there's a single thing that I can do in my daily life without her voice in my head.
Okay.
Like simple things, like if I want to buy something and it's like, the fact that she's always told me, always find out how much it is.
Right.
Just small things like that. Just yesterday I was telling without her,
my voice ringing in her.
telling her that there's not a single thing that I can do now. Voice ringing in my head, like what would she think or what would she say or how would she react?
Right.
So I think that's a clear indication of what, the impact that she's had on my life. And more so now that I'm married, how has she managed all these years to have three very different personalities in me, my dad and my sister?
Right.
How has she juggled all of this? How did she juggle all of this? How did she at the same time, enabled us and allowed us make all of us feel like we were all a priority, but us to pursue our passion, but at the same time disciplined all of us, made sure, today, for example, if Ranveer says my wife expects me to be home at a certain time or
Right.
those things, that's not me, it's come from her. You go to bed by a certain time, be on time, all of those. So in some way, I've learned a lot from her,
Right.
especially when it comes to all of that has come from her, and real family upbringing, all of that, the disciplining is just such a, it's so interesting. There are moments when you think parenting is interesting,
Yeah.
it's scary, and you actually realize you have moments when you actually feel like, wow, your parents have done so much.
True.
And you probably took it for granted, but you value it now, I feel.
How did you manage? Like she said, three very different personalities. What was that like, to sort of have the two of them growing up and two girls with different personalities, and now they're grown up, different professions, without either one feeling neglected? How
Self is, it's not a smooth flow. It's not never.
did you sort of get down to doing that?
Parenting, it's never a smooth journey. So there are tough times, easier times, and all that. And actually, my parents, and especially my dad, with his British boarding person. So I have grown up with school background was a very disciplined, very strict rules in the house and being very disciplined, which I very unconsciously, I didn't know.
You were borrowing from there.
Yeah, I brought it from there, and I expected my husband and when my daughters were growing up to have the same values. And I'm sure I've been like a very strict headmistress, and I'm sure there are times when they've wanted to throw me out of the house for sure.
No, but I really see the value in it today. Like,
I was and I am, and so yeah. But but that's the way.
Like, of course, you know, when you're growing up, sometimes you feel like, why is she so strict or whatever. But it never felt like, at the same time, it didn't feel like we needed to.
These rules have
These
to be
are
followed.
all, yeah, and it's all for your own rebel.
Sure.
You know, it was very clear that good.
Right.
Of course, being an athlete and being, you know, being a sportsman also teaches you that.
True.
But it's also what we've practiced at home. Like one meal as a family we had to have.
Okay. Together.
Together as a family.
It was a rule. Each one is out of the house doing their own thing, but the rule that
it was a rule, like
that during the day, every dinner time is when the entire when all four of us have to be at the table, and that's the time you bond and you know, talk to each other.
or like,
and,
you know, things like breakfast. Like we were never allowed to grab our breakfast and eat it in the car and drink milk in the car.
or there are kids who sit in front of the
Wake up
TV
5
and
focus while you eat. You know, so you like those things.
And now when you say these things to
And-
Ranjit,
have
You know, wake up
Yeah.
early and sit at the table and
you'd say, okay, that's my mom
like, I know
talking.
where it's
there are also a lot of homes where food is made, the meal is cooked to each one's liking. Like the husband's preferences are there, the kids' preferences are there, the wife is having something else. In our day, this is what I have decided. So whether you all like it at home, it was like, no,
like,
this is the menu for the day. But in turns, each one got their not. This is what you all are going to have.
Yeah.
And I would make sure that particular preferences, so they didn't miss out on anything. But
eating out was like once a week.
Right.
Otherwise,
when you
weekend is like,
when you
you
go
know,
out
go
and
out.
want to.
because it was always home food.
Yeah,
Breakfast, lunch,
weekdays
dinners,
eat
all
at home.
food.
Weekends.
I have to tell you, Deepika told me this long back. She said, you know, I have this like homemaking ability because my, you know, family is like that. Like even when she was in Bombay, she was like, I set up house. I want to like, you know, I'm not like just going to outsource it to anyone,
Yeah.
which I guess comes from you.
Fortunately, those days we didn't have Swiggy and
cook the food, take care of the house.
Zomato and all those. So there was no question of, calling and ordering food in. So going out meant going out as a family, which I would say, okay, let's do it on weekends, not during from school, what their routine was and those what time they woke up, being punctual to school, come back the week. And then again, there was discipline as to what kind of things.
You were working when you got married, and then you decided to be a full-time homemaker.
Yeah.
When these girls growing up, did you sort of, what did you see for them? Like, did you want them to be working or be homemakers or?
So I've always been very independent-minded, and I've always believed that a woman should have her own money, irrespective of whether your husband be financially independent,
Right.
Is there to take care of you or not, it doesn't matter, but a woman has to be financially independent, apart from the fact that you also have a family to look after and run a home.
True.
So that's what I did.
Right.
I've always had a career for myself, and them to, irrespective of whatever profession they chose to take up, but please be, that's exactly what I wanted both my daughters to do. I wanted financially independent, and then other things happen alongside.
And when Deepika decided to sort of, change course from being a sports person to, I think you started with, was, I'm sure you were like surprised or not, modeling. Right?
Yes.
So becoming a model. What had she shown any signs of sort of?
Yeah, she
wanting
had
to be a
done.
model?
She had done a few ads as a kid as well,
Right.
and we could see that she was very passionate about it, loved being in front of cameras. Then there was a time when she was in the 10th standard where I told her, the model coordinator, through who she was getting some work, to just ease off and let her focus on her studies. And then she finished her schooling, joined college, and then the modeling bug got to her again.
Right.
So it was okay. I mean, she started off playing badminton because that was the easiest thing. We exposed both our daughters to all extracurricular activities, music, dance, different kinds of sports. And we said, let them decide for themselves what interests them and what they want to take up. So badminton, of course, was very natural because of Prakash. We had the facilities to take them to good coaches, and we had access to courts and all that. But somewhere down the line, we got to know that she was doing it more because Prakash wanted her to, or whatever.
It also happened by default. It was
Right.
like dad was a coach by that time, so we would come
She was good at it, so she started playing for the state.
back from school, and then as an extracurricular activity, it was like, okay, why don't you go there and play and
Yeah.
But then at some point she told us that was not what she wanted to do, and her interest was in modeling. So we were okay with that.
Yeah.
She did Limca, which was followed by Liril, and that was a time when we were told that this is going to be the turning point in her life. And things like that, and that's exactly what happened. Which which will lead to career movie offer. So nothing was planned. It was literally
The passion was
yeah.
there, the intent was there, and I was willing to put in the hard work.
Right.
But whether it would happen, how it would happen, how I was going to go about it was sort of up in the air.
Right.
But I think they saw that side of me quite young, because even my school exposed us to various extracurricular activities. So while there was sports day, we would also have plays. So we were exposed to all kinds of stuff. Teachers' Day, Children's Day, fashion show. Things, and I think that's when I sort of knew that, you know, like being modeling, being in front of the camera. Surprised when I, you know, when I said to them
and
that those are the things I really enjoyed. So I don't think they were.
Parents, we never imposed any restrictions. We were interested them.
Yeah.
And my husband strongly completely okay with whatever they did. That believes that when you're doing something that you're passionate,
You do your best. And
yeah,
you really shine.
and it can also passionate about. That's when you give your 100% and you also make you very successful because you're putting in your passionate about. Whereas when something is forced into you, you're just doing it for the sake.
Half-hearted
Yeah.
efforts.
Yeah.
I remember
100% into a thing that you're really passionate.
she won the Society Young Achievers Award.
My very first award.
And you came with your dad.
Yes.
I remember that.
Yes, I still have that award. My very, very first award, and it was for Model of the Year or something like that. I remember we flew in from Bangalore. We stayed at the hotel, we came down. I clearly remember that.
Yeah, Deepika was like, you know, sweet. She was like, what, 19 or something like that?
Yeah, 18, 19.
I remember asking you at that time that, you know, are you going to go into the movies? And she said, sure enough, a few years later you were there. But when she decided to move to Bombay, like, you know, were you nervous? Did you make any calls? I don't know, we'll see. And were there local guardians here to just help her find her way around?
Bombay is where I am from.
Right.
So this was home to me, and I would always bring the kids. We would come here twice a year during their school holiday. New, and I was very comfortable about her days.
Right.
So definitely living in Bangalore was not. There's a lot of family around, but as an 18-year-old, being here, and there was year-old moving to in the dead of night from suburb to town, Bombay. Living on her own, traveling for her shoots and for her work. Yeah, it did
unnerve you a little.
Yeah. First of all, after being in a nuclear family, then when one of the kids moves, that itself is. So that is something I had to get used to. Something that really breaks you.
Yeah.
But she managed well. I knew back of my mind, and she's a very strong person. She's very street smart and very strong. So
Right.
at back of my mind, I knew that come what may, she can fend for herself and take care of herself.
But growing up, did you see that in her, like, you know, that spark in her, like not just for modeling, but, you know, like sometimes in hindsight you realize that, you know, there were these little signs which you don't put a sort of thought to it.
She was always very feisty, and she was a go-getter.
Okay.
So I always.
Hey, what happened? You used to say I was a very loving child and all.
Always knew from the time she was very young that
What happened? Suddenly I become
loving,
feisty.
no, feisty as in,
like,
yeah.
I'm just troubling you. I'm just troubling you.
But you know, loving. You were, and you still are, of course. Not one of those timid, meek, shy kind of kids. She was always.
I was shy.
Not at all.
No? I think she was reserved. Like when I remember her early years in.
I get what she's saying. Like I wasn't.
She could make friends very easily. She
That's
would
so
love.
in the industry.
It's actually very weird because
She would love having friends around and having fun with them, and I don't think you were reserved in any way.
just because I jumped from sofas.
Tomboy she was,
Right.
hyperactive.
When
She
my baby
she
sister was
sobered
born.
down when Anisha was born.
Okay.
Until she was about 4 or 5. And then she became very motherly and very responsible, you know, all that.
Was she bossy with her younger sister?
Yeah.
Because at the point they feel that they know better and they sort of, the elders siblings tend to, because they're protective, at some tell their younger siblings what to do. I mean, all very well meant.
Rules between the two, this one would always get a firing.
I have an elder sister.
I
so-
don't know about that, but whenever there were quarrels,
See? Poor me.
and then I would realize that it was the younger one actually who had
But it was weird. We had a lot of physical.
chabied her.
Fights.
Okay.
Growing up. So we went through that phase because I felt like
Pulling
she was
each other's hair and all
yeah,
that.
I mean at that point I felt 5 years and I always felt like she's really younger than me and I was always like, you know, we every time a fight would always turn into a physical fight. I don't know why. Then came the phase where I moved away.
Right.
So we kind of drifted and I think I was just sort of too involved with figuring my own life in a new city and then we ever
Did you ever go on the set for?
my new career and all of that, so we kind of drifted, sort of reconnected, and today it's in its best place.
When she started with the movies?
Practically every movie.
No, like not accompanying me.
Right.
If that's what you're asking.
That's what like.
No. I've never accompanied her and been with her all the time.
Right.
But every time she does a movie, I just like to go there.
One day. They have
maybe
like a-
1 or 2 days, and I like to meet the rest of the crew, the producer, the director, her co-stars. It just gives me a comfort feeling to know who she's working with, and it's just that. There are a few movies that I've not been on sets with her, but generally just
Most
1 or
often
2
they
days.
try
And sometimes if she's in very exotic locations
Right.
and
Okay.
seeing the world. So then that added, then
Then there's
I'm very fond of traveling. Attraction to go, and while
an
she's
incentive.
working, I'll be holidaying.
traveling.
Yeah.
She's been such a successful star. Did you worry for her? And what is the challenge? You know, when you're a parent to somebody who's so famous, who's so successful, it comes with its own, there's glory. But there's so many things. What are your concerns when it comes with a little bit of baggage because of the way media writes about on that front?
I think initially it would, things that were written about or said would bother me a little bit. But then
You
away,
remove from it. So.
and we have our own one good thing is that we don't live in the city, we live
Right.
life there, and it's a very, very normal middle class kind of lifestyle that we have, and we don't subscribe to any of the so in that sense we are able to live our movie magazines or tabloids and all that, our own life, and we really don't bother. Now it really doesn't affect us. Whatever is written and said, it doesn't affect us at all.
Did you give her any advice on that front? Because she was new to so how to tackle these situations as they came up with and you know, she was young, she had come to a new city.
I really didn't have to advise her as such.
She dealt with
She was
herself.
familiar to the city because we've been
Coming
because I had family here,
Right.
and I always knew that she can fend for herself. She can fight her battles and survive.
Came into the movies, like things being written about it. Deepika, was it challenging for you initially, you know, when you did you worry what would your parents be thinking, or did you call them up for advice at any point, professionally, or which movie to choose, anything like that?
I think they've always allowed me to make no, not professional advice. Somehow we never addressed any of my own decisions, and if there were any tabloidy thing, we've never addressed it only.
No,
Okay.
we don't
It's
discuss.
like it didn't even
It
exist.
didn't exist.
Yeah.
So you blocked
You
it
know?
out, like
Yeah,
didn't
yeah.
really-
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't feel like they would get affected by it. I didn't feel the need to pick up the phone and tell them. Even till today.
Also, we had complete.
It sort of never has existed in that list. Listen, this has come, or this is going to come, or
faith and trust in her,
her.
and I keep us informed and let us know, and we was absolutely sure that whatever it is, she will keep. Don't have to hear about things from someone else. And
When she went through depression, which was very uncharacteristic of you, you were doing exceedingly well. How did you cope with that? Because, you know, I mean, she's here. And Deepika, like, not having your family physically here, you're there, and it's such a demanding sort of profession.
that I'd come on a regular visit, and I could
With you.
But she
How
spotted
did you
it.
cope?
I'm just happy that spot the symptoms, and I could get help for her at the right time. I'm just happy that
Not
yeah,
everybody
because she
can
had
do
not,
that.
and most of the time she happened to be here then,
And to spot it.
doesn't tell us things that we may worry about.
Yeah.
She keeps it away from us. So I'm just so glad. On during her movie shoots on sets, which is had. Yeah, there are times when she's been injured. She's never told us, and then one fine day I see a blood.
Those are the things I kept from them. If I was
Says no. No, I had a fall or whatever. Back and blue patch on her knee, and I say, "What is that?" And then she
unwell,
Right.
if I was upset about something, or for me it was always like they shouldn't worry about me. So
Right.
every time, even today I do that. I put up this front of being I'm whatever I was going through. If they called or messaged, I would always put up this, like, it's all good.
Yeah.
What are you all worried about? Irrespective, whatever I'm going through. Because I've never want them to feel like they are not them to feel like they're
To
not
worry
there.
about it.
Yeah. Not they're in a different city. I've never wanted there for me. They're not
Right.
physically available. They're not.
Did you ever think in a sticky situation that what would my mom do in this
Yes.
kind of a situation and
Yes.
find a solution?
My mom and dad both.
Right.
I would definitely, like I started the interview by saying that whether it's putting away my clothes or the way the dinner table is set or what time I'm having dinner, or her voice is always in my head. I don't think she's done it deliberately.
Right.
She's done it from a place of wanting to be a good parent and a good mother and give us a great upbringing.
Right.
And I don't think she herself realizes the sort of impact that she's had on my life, and in the amazing way that I'm now going to be able to sort of extend that to my new family.
But is there any advice that you take from her now that she's this accomplished star and diva and all of that? Anything that you turn to her for advice for?
a lot of things that I can learn from her for sure. I
Right.
don't. Yeah, advice as in what should I wear or should I buy specifically ask her for advice. Buy this, or do you think this is okay, and you know, those kind of things. But
I like this jewelry. What do you think?
yeah. True. But definitely a lot of things that I can learn from her. Her multitasking abilities, oh my God. And she just doesn't get tired. She's physically, I don't know what energizes her, but when she comes to Bangalore, from the time she's awake till she goes off to sleep, she has to be constantly doing something or the other. And I'm like, come on, I'm tired, I need a break.
My mother's like, you're too much energy. We live in a city that's... After 2 days, she can't handle me in Bangalore. She's like, slightly, you know,
Laid back.
works
Laid back,
at
yeah,
a
we
slightly
hurricane and
tornado. And she
Can't time to do
pace.
things.
And I walk in like a, you know, I feel like, I think where I'm coming from is that I'm trying to compensate and make up for the time that I'm not with them.
Right.
So if it's a plumbing issue, if it's a carpentry issue, if it's a maid issue, if it's something that had to get done,
You're fixing it.
I'm trying to do as much as I can, because I feel like, but if I was here, I would have helped them do it.
Yeah.
You know. So I think in trying to do as much as I can in the time that I could also, in my effort of trying to help them, I could 1 second. I work at a completely different pace, and it would also exhaust them maybe in the
Right.
process, you know. I'm there. But now I also have to realize that but I think that's where it's coming from. Of course, I don't think I can vegetate. I'm someone who looks forward to that moment when I'll come to Bangalore, because she knows who always has to be productive, do something. Even relaxation for me is like cleaning or doing things around the house, which she appreciates.
Right.
So she like that one cupboard that has to be
And
clean.
do the dusting and
or-
sorting.
Yeah.
Some things that were put on the back burner will get done when she comes home. But her multitasking, the goals, that ability, her energy levels, she sets for herself, and the way she works at achieving those goals, that is really remarkable, because most people would till she achieves what she wants.
That
Everyone has dreams and goals, and they are like, if it happens, okay, I'm doing my best and all, but she will work entire.
I've seen her do. Like, she's been at it.
Yeah.
And what's remarkable about her is that she's been shy, not shy, but reticent, but she's like really worked on herself and never extra work, you know. It's one of the very positive, like underconfident and never afraid to put in that things about her. And she never takes like criticism as a bad thing.
She's known me
So-
from the start of my career.
Yeah.
Thank you.
What is that one advice that you'd give her for parenting? Now,
Already seen me as a parent, and drawbacks, and I'm sure she's seen the plus points and maybe the
that she's married and
I think she's all
parents.
Absolutely. Oh my God. I mean,
figured out for herself.
Are they your role models?
when you step into their shoes, you realize, I think as kids we don't value it enough, but when models, both of them have been in their marriage, I mean, today I realize what amazing role way that they've brought the two of us up. And every time I'm in a sticky situation, it takes me back to how would they react to it. Mother are very different people, but they're also, most of them are such different people. My father and my mother, would they? And to see that both same page. There's never, at least when it's so united,
Yes.
they're always on the. When it comes to parenting,
Right.
they've never.
Yeah,
If there is,
yeah.
it's never. Even if there has been, it's had any sort of.
Any
And
difference
even
of
if there
opinion?
is, even probably in the bedroom, it's never sort of. We've never
Come to
been,
you.
Yeah.
felt like.
We've always been on the same page.
I
when
don't
it came
think
to
we've,
parenting.
Right.
succeeded in playing. But I think they've set such an amazing example, and one again. Against the other, because they are so like
You've tried.
united.
Of times when as parents you doubt whether you're doing the right.
And on the same page, but also a very high benchmark.
And of course there are a lot of thing. Have
Sure.
you failed? There have been a lot. Parent.
Can you share any particular instance?
Oh, when I felt maybe this was not. I've not been a good.
When-
You know, when you go through the teenage
Right.
issue of instances where I've
that
and
rebellious
problems, yeah.
phase.
There was several times when I told myself that somewhere I have would have been, maybe I was too strict. That's why there are times when when I've questioned, well, the rebellion is coming out now, so failed. I have not been the kind of parent that I should. Myself and had doubts,
And
but
then she saw my friends, and then she was like, "Oh, this
Oh,
one
I'm
is
fine."
a sweet angel." Comparative.
lady once told me, and I was very passionate about my kids were growing up, and she had told me, don't even think twice. But like career, and then I had to put it aside for a few years because the kids about it, and don't feel bad about it, because think of it as an investment and you're going to see the returns much later when they grow up. Her words keep coming back to me. Okay for career women if they take a short break to be with now.
Right.
So I think it's absolutely okay for their kids and inculcate the right values and spend time with them. And
But I think
I also don't believe child, there's nothing called quality time. It's the amount, even this thing of quality time.
Right.
Because for a of time that a child gets with the parents, they don't see the difference.
Especially when
between,
they need it.
yeah.
Yeah.
So I think it's perfectly okay to not to just focus on your kids when they are young, and then take up whatever you have to do even after they grow up.
I think what I think she managed to do really well was to be a working, independent. So that's my memory of my mother. Like when I think of her, if I have to think of her objectively, as a mother, she's always been there. And while she's been there to sort of discipline us and bring us up a certain way, nurturing, you know, all of that. And then she's also been very caring, loving, independent. You know, she's worked, she's had a career, she worked on her own terms. When I look at her as a woman, she's traveled with my father, she's been an amazing wife to him.
Right.
So I think she's, you know, so when I sort of think of it objectively, I'm like, I mean, I can't ask for a better role model.
True. Well, thank you, ladies. Both of you
Thank
have been
you.
so wonderful, and
Thank you.
obviously you with what we have of Deepika, and I'm sure Anisha, though I don't did something very right. If we, you know her, but from what I read about her, I think you've done exceedingly well with both the girls.
Thank
So
you so much.
congratulations.
Thank you.
And thank you for, you know, letting us into your world for a little bit about Star Mothers and Star Daughters.
Thank you so
you.
much.
Thank you.
Thank you.